Come on.
So, The Last of Us is coming to HBO. How does an old wolf feel about that? First and foremost, I'm happy about what this means for Naughty Dog's hard and amazing work with these two incredible pieces of art. Having their IP optioned by HBO is a wonderful recognition for the grand achievement of writing, acting, world building, and narrative game design that went into these properties. I love HBO. It's been my favorite network for the last 20 years. Sure, the final season of Game of Thrones was something else, but HBO gets a pass for that because they've produced masterpiece after masterpiece after masterpiece after masterpiece, including esoteric and out there stories that no other network would have even entertained a meeting on. For the past 2 decades, HBO has been a leader in transforming the way television tells stories. So when I found out that my favorite network was going to adapt my favorite IP, sounds like a winning combination, right? Wrong. Not for me. Now, I am always going to be honest with you guys, even when it means saying something that I think may not be what you want to hear. For me personally, as a huge fan of The Last of Us, I am not currently excited about the HBO series, though I desperately want to be. My feelings on this are complicated, but don't worry, because I'm going to tell you all about it. I was born in 1980, so I'm an old dude. Trust me, I know what it's like to have fan castings. My friends and I would sit around the lunch table in junior high and imagine our perfect cast for the X-Men. This was a good decade before the X-Men movie came out, and back then we never in our wildest dreams ever thought something like the X-Men could even be translated to the silver screen. And yes, even back then, we wanted Patrick Stewart as Professor X. But adapting comic books or novels to a visual medium is a far cry from adapting a narrative masterpiece like The Last of Us to a separate and more restrictive visual medium. Not to mention making this adaptation so soon after the original was already told. As a storyteller myself, I believe wholeheartedly in retelling stories and reconceptualizing mythology. And if this was the year 2043, I would probably be excited about an adaptation or retelling of The Last of Us with new actors and new twists. But the fact of the matter is, it's just too soon.
Oh man, this is rigged.
At this point in time, Troy Baker is Joel and Ashley Johnson is Ellie, and trying to envision a version of The Last of Us without them playing these characters is heart-wrenching to consider because it's just so soon. To me, Troy and Ashley's performance really comprises the soul of our experience, whether we're dealing with a cranky Bill that's pissed off that we set off his traps, or we're fighting our way through St. Mary's like a madman because we have to save our girl. Rather than expose non-gamers to the glory of The Last of Us by virtue of an HBO series, I would rather work on getting non-gamers introduced to the powerful narrative experiences that video games have to offer by focusing on the gaming medium itself. Video games truly have transcended film in countless ways, and I go into that at length in a video you can check out in the link above. So to me, a film or television adaptation is going backwards, not forwards, but we still live in an era where the mindset of so many people is still stuck in the past, believing that film is a form of validation to a video game, when we've already reached the era where it really is the other way around. There are too many people that still think video games are nothing more than Donkey Kong and Super Mario with better graphics, and adapting our precious video game narratives to the restrictive experience of film is not, in my opinion, the best way to show non-gamers the holy grail of untold worlds and stories that await them if they would simply pick up the controller. I'm glad that many of you are excited about the show, so don't let me rain on your parade by any means. You don't ever have to defend your excitement about something to anyone, least of all me. I will say that there are a few saving graces for the show, and if it has to exist right now, I'm glad that Neil Druckmann is going to be involved at a high level of the show's writing and production. I also think it's very likely for us to see my main man W. Earl Brown reprise his role as Bill, since he's the right age range and physical build as Bill's character. It's also likely that we might see Annie Wershing reprise her role as Tess. So these are all pluses. I'm sure Troy and Ashley will play some kind of role, but it's just weird thinking of them not playing their characters. But I'm not going to inhabit that. I'm just going to focus on the positive and look for the light. And who knows, with any luck, I might get excited. And if I'm really lucky, the show just might blow me away. But what do you guys think about all of this? Let's discuss it together in the comments below. If listening to the rantings of an old man meant something to you, consider supporting me on Patreon so I can devote more time to creating the content you love. Follow me on Twitter and show me pictures of the wolf in your life. And don't forget to leave your love in the comments. And remember that I have other videos that may offer you something you didn't know you were searching for. Until next time, I'll catch you in the wilderness of the mental.
Dan, also known as Wolf.